I'm 82 years old now, and there are days when the phone sits on the table so quietly it feels like it's judging me. I don't pick it up much anymore. My hands shake. My hearing isn't what it was. But if I'm honest, the real reason is older than my hands. It started the day I stopped calling home. And I didn't know that day would follow me for the rest of my life. I still wake up before the sun. That habit never left me, even now with nowhere I need to be. My body rises out of memory more than purpose. I sit at the kitchen table, same one I've had for 30 years, and I listen to the house breathe, pipes ticking, refrigerator humming, silence filling in the rest. Silence is heavier when you've earned it. When people ask about my life, I usually say I was busy, I worked hard, I provided, I did what men were supposed to do back then. It sounds reasonable when I say it out loud, it always did, but the truth doesn't live in those sentences. It lives in what I didn't do, in the calls I postponed, in the voice I assumed would always be there waiting. I grew up in a small house that smelled like coffee and laundry soap. My father worked with his hands. My mother worked with everything else. They weren't warm people, but they were steady. They were there every night, every morning. Same chairs, same routines, same expectation that you belong. When I left for work in my 20s, I told myself I was stepping into something important, opportunity, responsibility, the future. All words that sounded solid enough to stand on. Commitment meant staying late. Commitment meant weekends. Commitment meant being available. At first, I called home every Sunday. Long calls, my mother asking if I was eating enough, my father pretending not to care. I could hear the smile in his silence. I didn't think much about it. It felt permanent, like gravity. Then the calls got shorter. Then they moved to every other week. Then sometimes I'd see the missed call and think, I'll call tomorrow. Tomorrow always felt safe. Tomorrow felt infinite. Life filled in the space quickly. A wife, kids, mortgage payments, meetings that ran long, dinners eaten standing up. I told myself I was tired. I told myself I'd call when things slowed down. They never do. I remember the first time my mother said, "We don't hear from you much anymore." She didn't accuse. She just stated it like weather. I laughed it off, told her I'd been busy. She said she understood. That word still bothers me. Understood what? That I had replaced them without noticing. There was a point in my 40s when calling home started to feel awkward. We don't have much to say. Their lives had gotten smaller. Doctor appointments, neighbors moving away, a leaky roof. My life felt loud and full. Promotions, school plays, deadlines. I told myself I was sparing them. That's the lie I lived with the longest. I noticed my parents moving slower. I noticed it the way you notice a crack in the sidewalk you step over every day. You register it without stopping. The day I stopped calling wasn't dramatic. That's what hurts the most. It was an ordinary Tuesday. I'd seen a missed call while I was at work. I remember looking at the phone, thinking I'd call back after dinner. Then my son needed help. Then the dishes. Then the news. By the time I sat down, it felt late. I told myself I'd call tomorrow. Tomorrow turned into a week. A week turned into waiting for them to call again. They didn't, and I didn't either. That silence stretched quietly. No argument, no decision. Just neglect disguised as busyness. When my father died, I got the call from a neighbor, not from my mother. She didn't want to bother me, they said. I stood in the kitchen holding the phone, listening to a stranger, heart failure, peaceful. Those words landed flat. What I felt wasn't grief at first. It was confusion, like I'd missed a meeting I didn't know was scheduled. At the funeral, people asked where I'd been. I answered the same way I always had. Work, family, life. The words tasted thin. My mother hugged me longer than usual. She felt smaller, fragile, like something already fading. After that, I promised myself I'd do better. I called more often. I tried, but something had shifted. The rhythm was gone. We were polite with each other, like distant relatives learning manners. She never complained. That somehow made it worse. The last time I spoke to my mother, she asked me if I was happy. I gave the automatic answer, yes, busy but good. She said she was glad. She said she worried sometimes. I told her not to. She laughed softly and said, "Mothers don't stop doing that." She died 3 months later. Now when I think about home, I think about the sound of the phone ringing and me deciding not to answer it yet. That decision echoes louder than anything else in my life. My children are grown now. They call when they can. I tell them I understand when they're busy. I hear my own mother's voice in my mouth. I've had success, a career, a retirement fund, respect from people who don't know me very well. None of it keeps me company in the mornings. None of it answers back. There's a kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being alone, but from knowing exactly how it happened. From remembering every small choice that led you there. I didn't fall off a cliff. I drifted slowly, comfortably, with reasons. If you're listening to this, I'll just tell you this. Time doesn't announce itself when it's leaving. It slips out while you're busy. I still keep the phone on the table. Sometimes I imagine it ringing, my mother's voice on the other end asking if I've eaten. I imagine telling her about my day, about the quiet, about the things I finally have time to notice. The phone never rings, and I sit there, 82 years old, understanding too late that some calls don't wait forever. Don't wait, call them now.